We talked about you journaling to work through some of your feelings after the last appointment. Have you been keeping up with that journal?
I've been trying. At first, I tried really hard to do that, to write down all of my thoughts and my feelings every day, but I would just end up in tears every time I did that.
So you found the journal almost more painful than helpful. Was it? Where would you say on a scale of 1 to 10? If one was it was just painful and not a fun experience at all. Well, not fun anyway, but not, with one being a negative experience and 10 being a positive experience that helps you work through this.
It is definitely a positive experience, and I'm so glad that you suggested that I do that. I mean, it's painful. I think things are gonna get increasingly painful for a while. And I think I'd put it at a 6 because it is really painful, but I do think, I don't know, I can see why it's going to be beneficial for me.
So I'm hearing you say that it's still definitely a very painful experience, but it's helping you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Who else, have you brought up the test results with your family at this point?
No, I haven't. I actually wanted to talk to you about that because I'm not sure. What I'm really worried about right now, and you can tell me if this is crazy, but I'm worried that because I didn't even tell my husband that I was getting testing, for me to go now and tell him the results when I lied to him in the first place about getting testing done, I'm worried he's going to be really angry with me, and I don't know what this is going to do to my marriage on top of everything else I'm dealing with.
Right. That's a valid concern. He might be angry. He's going to have a whole range of emotions when you tell him this. But from my experience working with other patients with Huntington's disease in the past, their partners are usually pretty supportive at this point. They're aware that something's going on, and more often than not, the partners are fully supportive. I think because you're expressing so much concern about how he's going to react, it might actually be as useful for me to pretend I'm you,
Okay.
and then you can react and put yourself in his shoes.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good thing to try.
And if you still want to try the other version afterward, we can do that too. Greg, do you have a minute to talk about something serious?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. With all this talk about my dad's treatments and testing and his recent diagnosis of Huntington's disease, we also were told that any of his children would have a 50% chance of also getting the disease.
Right, I remember that.
Right. And we said that I told you that I wasn't going to get testing, but I decided to go through the testing. It was something I later decided I needed to know.
So you're going to get testing done now?
I actually already got the testing done, and
you told me you weren't going to.
Yeah, I decided it was something I needed to know, and I didn't want to worry you and the kids with waiting for the results. I'm sorry I kept you guys in the dark, but it was something I needed to know for myself before I could have be something that everyone was waiting for. Everyone was.
But I'm your husband. I'm supposed to help you with things like this. That's the whole point of what we have.
I'm sorry. I just needed to do this.
Okay, well, I guess I shouldn't even be worried about that. I should be worried about what the result is. I'm just so scared to know.
I'm gonna have Huntington's disease.
I can't even believe that. I'm so sorry, and I'm sorry I got angry with you. I'm just, I don't know what to do. The thought of watching you go through this and seeing this happen to you, what's happening to your father, I can't.
I've been having a tough time dealing with it myself recently, but I decided it was time to get you involved and soon the rest of the family. But I wanted you to be the first one to know.
As painful as this is for me, I know it's got to be so much worse for you, and I'm going to do everything I can to support you through this.
Thanks. Okay. So, how did you feel about that? I think that sounds like a great plan.
Okay.
I think getting him in the loop at this point would be a big step and help get someone for you to be there for you. It's very important to have family support with this disease, and later we can still work through more with the rest of your family. We can get there after this, but I think it's a good point right now for us to get him involved also and he can also be a great source of support for you.
Okay.
Last time we talked about sharing the news with your husband. Did you do that?
I did do that.
How did that go?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I wish I had done that sooner because
Okay.
it just was such a source of anxiety that it shouldn't have been.
I'm glad to hear. Have you thought about how you're going to bring up the news with them?
You know what? I have thought about it, and I don't think I want to tell them.
Okay.
I just don't want to tell them.
Okay. It's important at this point to keep in mind that in a few years, your hand is kind of going to be forced here. You're going to tell them by becoming symptomatic, and these conversations are going to come out at some point.
But that doesn't mean they'll know that I knew beforehand, right? And
I suppose it doesn't. However, you and your husband choose to inform them at this point, that's what they'll know now, and you could go ahead and just let this play out, and they can find out that way. It will be difficult if you decide to have these conversations. There's no getting around that. It won't be easier later. It's definitely a choice you have to make. I can't tell you what to do. I just think it's important to keep that in mind, that this is something that will come out, so to speak. What would it mean to you that for your children to know?
it would mean that they know they're losing their mother. I think, and we've worked through so much of it, this is going to be kind of a lifelong process for me now.
Sure.
And it's never going to go away. I think it would be a good thing for me to be in counseling for the rest of my days.
Okay.
I was just wondering if you could refer me to someone that I can continue to talk to.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who would be happy to help you work through all these processes and maybe a little more of a long-term counseling specialist. I can definitely get you that information.
That would be really great. I think more important than any health care right now, that's what I'm going to need. So sad.
Right? I thought it was a downing.
Oh my god.
I should have picked like a career where I just made jokes.